I only understood half the words that were said then. But I laughed along. I mean, it's important that you do that. I'm Professor Keith Stevenson. I work at Glasgow Caledonian University.
Woo!
That's Calais, it's called locally, or GCU Jimmy in some parts of Glasgow. And my job there is to research different ways of presenting material to students to see which motivates them most to learn. And I'm an academic, and I'm interested in information, and I think that what we teach people is important. And that's one way of telling the students, if you learn this, it will be good for you. There's another thing that you can do, which is say, if you learn this, you'll get some marks. We found that it's the gets the marks that when they actually do the work. It's very, very disappointing. But as a scientist, you have to let the data speak. And that brings me on to why I'm here tonight. I actually thought this was an educational conference like my friend here. And I was going to talk to you about the importance of numbers and measurement, because without numbers you can't measure things, and measurement is the principal thing under which research is penned. So I get annoyed when numbers are misrepresented. It gives numbers a bad press, and I, for example, know such, or at least organisation such as the BBC is guilty of misrepresenting numbers, in my view. They've spent millions of pounds trying to tell us that 3 is a magic number. What a load of shit! 3 is just a normal number, same as any other number. The magic number, my arse. There are other things that irritate and frustrate, which are happening all the time, and it's no laughing matter. And it's to do with phrases that get into the consciousness. One, for example, might be when a question is asked, how many were there? The answer comes back, oh, enough to shake a stick at. What's that then? I mean, it's probably 6 or 7. But surely it must be species specific. I mean, it might be 6 or 7 geese, but my guess is it would only need to be 1 saber-toothed tiger. And there are other phrases that have gone into the language which, in my opinion, shouldn't be there, because they're difficult for people who are not familiar with the language to understand. Say somebody from Poland. Say, take the phrase, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Stupid phrase. I mean, if you're not familiar with the language, you've got to work out what is a dozen, then you've got to multiply it by a half, and then you've got to try and remember what the first number was. And what if you're with a group of bakers? I mean, presumably they say 6 of one, 7 of the other. Or is it 6.5? Anyway, I get the idea. It's illogical, and it irritates, and it frustrates. But the major criminal, sorry, that's too strong. The major culprit in this area of giving us information that isn't accurate, I happen to have brought along here in my pocket.
Woo!
I shall bring it out. Here it is here. At this stage there was supposed to be an example of it in case you couldn't see this. I often get that criticism. These are called hundreds and thousands. And you can get them from the bakery section of your supermarket. Now, how they've got away with this, I do not know. Are there hundreds and thousands of these little bastards in here? I've looked at the writing on the label. It says hundreds and thousands. It doesn't say average content. And is it hundreds and thousands of the red ones, or hundreds and thousands of the green ones, or the pink ones? It's just not acceptable. And I was thinking, well, I'm a scientist. Why would you find out how many there were? And then I could write a letter to the owners and say to them, look, I can help you out here. So I worked out what you could do is you could pour out about 1 gram and then painstakingly start moving them into the different colours without sneezing. And then you could count up how much there were in 1 gram and then scale it up and find out how much were in the bottle. Well, who would do that? I have to thank my research assistant. There's a passion for lamination. You give it to her, she'll laminate it. And once I had this, we have empirical evidence that we can work on, and with a magnifying glass and a little bit of elementary mathematics, we're able to scale up and find out exactly what the contents of this bottle are. And I can tell you, and this is a first, I don't think anybody's done this research before, that there are indeed in this packet 6,500 red, 4,500 pink, 3,000 yellow, and 2,500 green. And that, in my opinion, proves the point that this should actually be called thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. Thank you. Now, I have one final thing that I want to talk about. I mean, I don't want to give the impression that I am just an angry, grumpy old man. But I am. And the thing that is grumping me most at the moment is a phrase that seems to have again got into the consciousness, that is particularly for the slightly posher classes, I've noticed. And the phrase comes back in question of, have you been working hard? And the response is, oh yeah, I've been working 24/7. What a twattish thing to say. Do they understand what they're actually saying? 24/7, yeah, 24/7. 24/1, I've seen people that have been up all night. They look absolutely wrecked. 24/2, is that possible? Maybe, they'd be even more wrecked. 24/3, I don't know anybody who's been up 24/3. In fact, having researched this, I've found that there's only one person who's ever managed to go beyond 24/3, and he did 24/6. But he had to have a rest on the 24/7th day. So in my opinion, anybody who says, oh, I was working 24/7, then they're suggesting, A, that they can work harder than God, and B, they're breaking an EU directive. Drives me bloody balmy. Anyway, what I want to do now is just sum up what I've been telling you, and let's check that we agree with me. 3 is not a magic number. Yes?
Yes!
Okay. Waving a stick at somebody is a stupid way of responding to the question, how many were there? 6 of one, half a dozen of the other is discriminatory.
Yay!
I've forgotten what the next one is. Oh yes, these bloody things. These should have the numbers, or else. And finally, anybody that tells you they've been working 24/7, you have my permission to arrest them, take them to Brussels, and have them incarcerated for at least 24/7.